the unconventional ways of working. I had a conversation in my supervision group that is this too proudy? But then again, the reason for this title is extremely personal. When I started studying psychology and when I thought about counseling as a career for myself, I would always wonder whether counseling really works. Why would someone come into the therapy room and speak to a complete stranger and believe that person that, okay, this is what you could possibly try, and why would even that person feel that the person is interested in his or her story? But then my supervision sessions with Ravi, Yashna, Praveen, and my conversations with the MH team and plus the entire MHTP training got me introduced to narrative ideas, and it gave me the space to be unconventional. When I say unconventional, I speak of innumerable possibilities of working. The thought being there would always be this question, is there one way to do a session? Do we always need to be seated in chairs while we do a session? And that's when I realized there could be so many full possibilities whilst we do a session. There could be so many ways to have creativity in the session. So why I'm sharing some of my work today is to share how the sessions could possibly have so much more fun, so much more meaning, and it could be so much more experience near for the families who come to us, so much more meaningful for them. And also to share how there is a place for playful possibilities in the session. So I would be sharing with you guys my work with Faiz. Just to tell you a little bit about Faiz. Faiz is someone who I've been seeing for about 7 months now, and Faiz is someone who loves to create things out of paper. He makes these really beautiful things in no time at all, and I'm just like, wow, how do you manage to do that? Faiz is also someone who loves to play kabaddi with his brothers. He has 3 brothers. So when Faiz and his mum initially came into Umeed, they came with the hope that sometimes this anger visits Faiz, and are there ways to make this anger go away, because it's doing a lot to his relationships, it's doing a lot, it's having a lot of an effect on himself and at various contexts in the school front, at home. And we started having conversations about this anger that visits him. We had conversations about what this anger was doing to him, what this anger was doing to his relationships, what was this anger doing in several contexts. What did this anger really mean? But I was always, as a therapist, figuring out what are ways to make this more experience near to him. Also to share, Faiz is someone who experiences hearing diversity. So sometimes having those conversations would be a little difficult, and over time we realized that Faiz would process things visually, as I shared with you, that he also enjoyed doing a lot of craft. So once we were making this book in the session, and I suggested that how would it be to speak about Mr. Anger with this book. And that's when our journey of making this book on Mr. Anger began. I even have the copy, so if everyone wants to have a look. So we started making this book on Mr. Anger, and he called it Mr. Anger. When we were working on the front page of the book, we were thinking of ways how we wanted this to look. We had some questions which were helping us guide this process, which included things like how does this anger look? How does Mr. Anger look? What is the shape of Mr. Anger? What color is Mr. Anger? And that's how we decided even the color of the book. Moving on. Then we had conversations around when are times that this Mr. Anger visits, and what are situations in which Mr. Anger visits. And he shared that Mr. Anger comes in the house, library, park, and when mother tells him to do something. Following which, we had conversations around what are some of the tricks that Mr. Anger uses, and what are some of the things that Mr. Anger does to him and his relationships. And Faiz shared with us through this book that Mr. Anger makes him to shout, fight with his friends. Mr. Anger makes his friends go away. As you can see, Mr. Anger even sometimes laughs at him, and he drew Mr. Anger laughing at him with that big ha ha ha. Mr. Anger also makes his mother upset, and Mr. Anger makes him sad as well. Following which, we had conversations about was it okay that Mr. Anger was doing these things to him, and what is it that he would want to do with Mr. Anger. And he took this stand and he said that he wants to put Mr. Anger behind jail for every year. And as you can see, when Mr. Anger is behind jail, he is sad. Earlier he had a smiling face, and now he's sad. We then had conversations around what are some of the ways to put Mr. Anger in the jail. Are there some skills that Faiz has been using which helps him put Mr. Anger in the jail? And he said that, yeah, you have to catch Mr. Anger. And he said that there are ways to catch Mr. Anger, and that could be possibly closing your eyes and being silent, going to sleep, watching TV, doing something else, or doing some artwork. And in the end, we spoke about that if Mr. Anger was to come to know about the things that he was doing, what would it get Mr. Anger to think or feel? And he said that Mr. Anger would be behind jail, which is what he had hoped for. Mr. Anger would have that crying face, and Mr. Anger is sad. The intention of doing this book of externalizing Mr. Anger was to primarily have Faiz have an audience to see some of the skills that he was kind of using, and also to make the skills that he was using richer with the help of more voices from people. I would be sharing another story of Tarun today. Tarun is someone who is very, very dear to me because he is one of my first families that I have worked with. Tarun, I don't know if there is one way to speak about Tarun. There are so many ways that I could introduce Tarun. Tarun is a footballer. Tarun is someone who loves to act. Tarun is someone who holds the dream to travel the world. But today I will be talking about Tarun, the quiz master. So to tell you a little bit about how it all began, we were having, in a particular session, we had Tarun's mom and Tarun, and we were having the wonderfulness interview, and at that point, Tarun's mom shared that the wonderfulness about Tarun was that he could remember so many things in the world. And I said that, what do you mean by so many things in the world? And she shared with me that he could remember all the capital places in the world. He remembered them all by heart. And that immediately got me curious, and I started asking Tarun that how is it that you manage to do this? Is there a particular skill that you use while you do this? And he shared with me, yes, there is something that I do. And I asked him, would you tell me about it and tell me how it kind of works? And he said that he had to say the capital name 7 times in his mind, and the moment he said it 7 times in his mind, he stayed. And I was curious to know how it worked all the more, and I asked him, is there a particular name to the skill? Because I even wanted it to be more visible to him, because it almost seemed like it was matter of fact, but I thought that it was something to know all the capitals of the world. And that's when we started working on Secret 7 technique document, because he named it the Secret 7 technique. I'll just read out to you. In this document, he said that the Secret 7 technique can be used to remember things. For you to remember anything, you have to say it 7 times in your mind. When I have to remember the capital of Assam as Dispur, I say it 7 times in my mind. And the last point is, you need not use the Secret 7 technique for remembering capitals only, but for anything and everything. And that's when I got more curious, and I asked that, have you used the Secret 7 technique in any other part of your life? And he said, no, I need to think. And that's when we decided that we could possibly try and gain evidence for the Secret 7 technique in different areas of his life. And he started using the Secret 7 technique for organizing his notes. He would remember that he's putting it in a particular folder by repeating it in his mind 7 times. And that's how we started working on different techniques using his own skill. So oftentimes after I got to know about this really fascinating skill that Tarun had, we would have the capital quiz and he would quiz me in my sessions, and he would say that, okay, he would say that what are the capital names of so-and-so places, and I started using the Secret 7 technique, and I think my geography skills became much better over the course of time. And I thought, what better than having an audience for Tarun as well, because this is a skill which needs to be more out there, more visible for him, for more voices to come in, and that's when we did the capital quiz. We thought, why not call some other people who could be probably quiz takers when Tarun was the quiz master. The idea was also to kind of create a space where he would have his space to take charge, to have some personal agency over there. And we had professionals come in and take these interviews, take the quiz when Tarun was the quiz master, and it was beautiful. It was something to have him interact with other people when Mr. Shyness would often come into his life, and to even have that space where he was the expert in that room and where other people were using his document of Secret 7 technique in order to remember the capital names. It was something. So yeah. The letter connect is something which I've really taken from Ravi, because he does the pen pal project, and I think that is something that I have started using in my work as well. More recently, the intent of letter connect is to connect people who are experiencing similar concerns, to share some of the skills that they are using, and also to kind of build an audience for the skills that they are using. With the help of letters. Recently, I've been working with a lot of young people who've been experiencing a lot of academic concerns, and I thought sometimes we would fall short of what are ways that could help enhance these study skills, and I thought that what better way than connecting these young people with one another. So these are some of the letters. Please read one. Do we have time? Yeah, 1 minute would be fine. So this is a letter from Mahmooda to Neil, and so this is how it goes. Dear Neil, hello. I'm Mahmooda. I would like to mention a few things before knowing about you. I'm a student of Standard 8 and I love reading and painting. I would be very pleased to know a few things about you if you are okay. What are your hobbies and how do you cope with your studies? Do you use some study skills to improvise your studies? I would also like to share about my study skills, the learn and reward method. In this skill, you could do the following. Step number 1, take and learn a subject which you don't like. Step number 2, take another favorite subject and learn it as your reward. Step number 3, and after that you would use your phone as another reward. I would be happy and eager to get your reply as I want to improve my study skill. Bye, Mahmooda. Thank you.